Good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night, everyone. Welcome to the July Dragon City Open. Due to a lack of sign-ups for this month's race, it seems as though we won't be running a race this week. But what we will be doing is we'll just be having some fun, watching an episode of Dragon Booster, throwing some theories out, just keeping it light. And then after that, we're going to go through the new character creation methods for the new rule set, just to get everyone nice and used to it so that people can be ready for next month's race if they wish to sign up. Again, it is a public TTRPG race running through Roll20. It is open to absolutely anyone. Link to the Discord below if you want any further information or if you want to sign up for a future race. I will welcome my co-host Vokun.
Hello, I am Vokun, and some apologies in advance. I am recovering from a cold, so I'll do my best to mute my coughing, but if you hear it, that's why. Yeah, bit of a return to roots for us, but we'll leave it at that. So, yes, I believe we are watching the Horn of Libris because you wanted to talk about it.
Well, I like talking about Libris because Libris is an enigma wrapped inside a puzzle of the history of the Dragon Booster world. So, when you're ready, we'll sync up and go on 3.
Right.
1.
Yep.
2, 3.
Dragon is power. Once they were our equals. Today, humans control the dragon. To race, compete, and fight. Nearly 200 miles.
Might take a little bit for me to get the audio where it should be.
Now, dragons are once again ready to be released. And the powerful dragon of legend.
It is so hard not to just talk along with the word in this, because I've watched the series enough times that I know basically every single spoken line through the opening.
Fair enough.
Yeah. Plus all the classic quotes from all the favorite characters.
Control that dragon, and you control the world.
Cute.
Look at that teamwork. Oh, yes. Kata and his inner order crew are the world champions of the Horn of Libra tournament every year. They never lose. You're just trying to talk me out of racing today, Parm. Why would I do that?
Make this big.
Because you're afraid of heights.
Yeah.
This is a big-time race, Parm, and I want to do well. Show Kata that I can hang with him. Come on, we can do this. You just have to focus instead of panic. This is not the Kata from your favorite video game. This is the real Kata.
You want to race like your vid game guru? You gotta think like him, stable boy. Face it, you're not exactly the best dragon racer out there. And you'd have better luck magging a practice dummy than your frightened friend here. And
Hey! Well, actually, she's got a point.
look, you're a really good mag jumper, Artha. And I'm the best racer in the city. If you want to have a chance today, be my partner.
Why that wasn't his first plan,
Get your gear.
I don't know.
Must compete in the Horn of Libris race today.
This is only the 7th episode.
Against Kata and the inner order?
They're
I
still
will provide a
working
restaurant
on
to help you win the race.
the whole friend thing.
Bring me that trophy.
What's so important about an old trophy?
Ages ago, during the Great Dragon-Human War, the powerful grey bone dragons were the final key to victory. They They alone had the power to turn the other colors of Draconium against themselves. Each side in the war hunted the Grey Dragon as the ultimate weapon to dominate the planet. The Dragon Booster stopped all of that. But there is a legend that speaks of a mystical device that has the power to summon the last of the Grey Dragons. I believe that device to be the Horn of Libris trophy. It is passed down through the
Now, you see, the
generations.
first problem here is that they established later that the end of the war was the Black and Gold Dragon purifying every dragon back to pure gold.
I think they even actually stated that in the beginning. Like, that's like the first episode they say that. So I'm wondering if
They may
Grey Dragons-
reiterate it later.
Find the mag in
Yeah.
the stream and balance on it.
I'm trying! Oh, I'm falling! Oh, I'm crashing! I'm bruising. Did you know that Kata is the best and most precise mag jumper
accurate.
ever? 98.7% variation. He won his rookie level even before he finished the racing academy. Parm? Yes? Did you know that Kata is right behind you?
You can see how young the main cast is when you see an adult standing next to them.
Yep.
Hello, Parman.
Hello, the name is Kata, but you probably know
Accurate.
it's always so great to meet my fans.
It's very clear that Dragon City has no rules against children racing,
Good luck.
no matter how
No.
dangerous it may be.
Come on, half this is also the Down City Cruise anyway.
Like him.
I suppose none of the rest of themselves official.
To the next target, Cade! Hurry!
The next target is ours.
A hit is still a
Well,
hit.
it's using your head.
Yep. Hey, haven't she, Grace?
My father's Wraith Dragon is in position.
Now, Cade!
No! There's a Wraith Dragon on the track! Arthur! You're all in danger! There's a Wraith Dragon loose! We have to warn Kata!
Nice action, Flyboy.
Do it, Cade! What's happening? We are slowing down!
Kata, are you alright?
You did this other pen.
Me?
Yeah, a bit quick to make assumptions.
I win! I am Kata, Horn of Libris champion. You have ruined everything, other pen.
Sorry, Kata. I was only trying to...
Sorry? That is all I get?
It's just a trophy. You can win it back next year.
It is not just a trophy. I have to get it back. I am the great Kata, and it is my responsibility.
Responsibility? What are you talking about?
Ah, you would not understand. You're just a kid. What do you know about being a hero?
A hero?
Like I said, a dork. You heard what he said. Get the trophy back and responsibility? He's obsessed with the horn. I think Kata's going to go after Mordred.
There must be more to it if Mordred and Word went through all that trouble to cheat and get it.
And I
In a
present to
Horde
everyone
crew
the brains
versus a
of this
Dragonite
operation.
crew. That would be a terrible street war. Maybe that's Word's plan.
You have to do your Dragon Booster thing so we can go after him.
We? Time out. You're not part of we.
Yes, I am. I'm one of the team now.
Why don't we just stay here and call Dragon City Security?
Dragon City Security doesn't go down to Squire's End. Besides, they don't even know where Mordred Payne's Dragonite crew compound is. Do any of you?
Does this mean we gotta follow a girl? Yuck, it does!
Also, hello, early 2000s.
Girl.
The real brains of the operation. He's got to know what's going on. How else will he keep these children alive?
He's the same age as Arthur.
Kata!
Yeah, but he has ancient memories.
Yeah, true. Screw physics.
I mean, they could have just used their dragons to get up
Go
there.
inside after them. I'm gonna need you
Yeah, but they
to
make
practice
noise.
those maneuvers.
She's a girl! You guys stay
Hello,
on
early
comm in
2000s.
case we get into trouble.
Yep.
Ready?
Screw physics too, electric boogaloo. With a side dish of slapstick.
Thanks!
Look, a landing is a landing. It doesn't matter how graceful it is.
That is true. That is very true.
Any landing you can walk away from is a good one.
Sergio!
Well, look what we have here. The famous and noble Inner Order crew stealing? What's this world coming to? Take them away.
Okay.
Lock the place
You
down.
gotta hand to the voice actors. They're great.
They hammered up the exact right amount.
Yes, they do, and it is glorious. Especially Mordred Word and Kane.
What do we do now? Dragon Booster.
Well, a lot of voice actors went on to continue working in the industry and doing a lot of other projects, so they're good at their job.
Yes, they are.
Is the horn safe?
In the vault, as you commanded.
Good. I'm sending a team of Wraith Dragons to escort you and the horn to my location. But I caution you, do not use the Horn of Libris. You do not want to call a Greybone Dragon unless you know how to control it. An angry Libris will be ready to start a battle. I want him to start a war.
This Dragon Booster thing is serious.
You have no idea.
Psst! Up here!
Oh, great.
Great? I came here to help you.
I don't need a kid to help me. I am Kata.
You have no idea what you're mixed up in, Kata. The Horn of
And
Libris
currently
is
stuck in
more than
prison.
just a trophy. We don't know all the details, but we heard Mordred say that if the horn is used, some kind of gray dragon named Libris will show up.
And start a dragon-human war. Is that important enough?
So, now you know why I must get the trophy back. Why my crew is counting on me.
We're
And now we
here
know that you're
together.
some kind of idiot
Heroes
who
don't
should have
work alone.
given this information way sooner to prevent something like this from happening. And maybe the Horn of Libra shouldn't
I've calculated
Be a trophy.
be a trophy.
which has a flow factor of 1
1 in 5,988. Therefore, I can tune the dithyrium modulator in the comlink to a peak semblance of the upper pitch control. I can breach the obstructive density of the outer compound wall.
You do know that I'm 10, right?
All 4 goons with the dragon
Very
eyes.
bad. I'm afraid I'm
Also, their dragons seem to get there with no problem.
Over here! Help me with Sarjo! I'm going back in to help Artha. We're going with you.
I'd like to point out that one of them is still 10.
Hold them back. I'll get the horn.
You? What about me? Us? Kata!
Come on, get that stable boy.
And it's a good thing that flash was so bright that none of them probably saw Bo. Because it would have been really inconvenient if they saw a dragon they see every day on the racetrack breaking into their compound.
Especially with what happens later. Also, yes, it's just sitting here unguarded.
For something?
Time to get busy, Bo. Release the dragon!
No!
Kata, are you okay?
I'm going to slink
There's
away
nothing
all
on the
slinky-like.
Where's the elevator button on the outside?
You got the trophy, Pain, but you just lost the race. Don't do it, Mordred! You can't control a gray bone dragon!
Neither can you.
Wait, how do you know that? Like, your father literally told you, the Dragon Booster, stop them.
I mean, he does
Here's
end
the
up
dragon.
being
Sound
wrong,
is a bit worse.
but
You don't know what you've just done.
Well, I know what I'm doing now. Getting out of here!
it was the only realistic option he had in the moment.
Yeah, true.
This is not over, Pain.
No, but it will be shortly.
Ah, yes, I'll just have a Jurassic Park.
Here's Libris.
Stay here!
But look at how, compared to Tyrannus Pax and Armageddon, who appear later, Libris is very small.
Abandoned.
Sorry, Abandon. Libris is quite small.
It's about the same size. It's still about the same size as them, but they are quite young.
Libris, stay away from her!
It's interesting how he locks onto draconium colors.
Drop your weapon and power down your gear. Libris is using your own draconium energy against you. If you fight, he'll fight. That's why the Bone Dragon is so dangerous. He uses your own power against you.
Are you sure?
Trust me.
Hello, nice dragon.
But either way, if Libris was ancient and from the time of Dragon-Human War, he should be much larger.
Actually, I think that tidbit doesn't come up in this episode. I think that's the Mechanist episode.
Forget the Horn of Libris, Kata. This isn't about you and the Horn. It's about us and Dragon City and the whole world! We need your help right now! Stop fighting!
Smart enough to know when to quit.
I won't fight you.
And oddly enough, sort out all the power boosters.
Bo is trying to balance Libris' energy.
Libris is too strong!
Libris is definitely smaller than those other dragons. Because Bo didn't even come
Yeah.
up to the first joint on the
Restore his
leg.
energy balance.
Yeah. I swear that's growth perspective when it comes to Libris. He almost looks smaller now than he did at the start.
I think it was that the perspective was making him look bigger.
Yeah.
That side-on shot is the best shot of him with something else
Yeah.
for scale.
Hey guys,
And yet, given that Tyrannus Pax
it's the
can
word of Libris.
hold
we should
Bo
get this to Dragon
in,
City security.
I think it is his major arms, but
You missed everything.
yeah.
We just
Yeah.
stopped the Gray Bone Dragon with Dragon Booster.
I missed him again? Skills!
Yeah, and he said
Sure
we
thing,
made a
Clark.
Really good team.
Just missed
Oh, really? He
the world
did?
saving
When did
happening.
he say that?
I
He's
owe
so
you an
subtle.
To be
apology.
fair,
Arthur,
his
you were
disguise is slightly
Heroes
better
need
than a
help
pair of
to be
a pair of
heroes.
glasses,
United we stand.
given that you cannot see half of Dragon Booster's
Divided
face.
we rise!
Except the fact that the part that you can see is the part that's not covered by his regular helmet.
Yeah.
His lips and nose are the most visible part of his face at all times.
Yeah, but at least you can see his eyes in his normal racing helmet.
So later on in the Mechanisms episode, Rivet says that Libris is his dragon.
And
he
I believe also states that he's the original.
he
Libris.
does say that. He may say that he's the original, but I'd have to double
Yeah,
check
so
that.
according...
But
Yes.
he says that Libris has been missing and that he needs the Horn of Libris to find him. Which I theorize that Libris is missing because of the fact that he got called here and then he didn't know how to get back home. That's why Libris is missing. And this Libris makes no sense to be the ancient Libris because all dragons... It was very specifically called out that all dragons got purified to gold at the end of the Dragon-Human War, and that was what ended it. If there had been some grey dragons still kicking around, there still would have been conflict that would have risen back up to war. So it would make more sense if the mechanists, akin to Connor Penn, had been crossbreeding and crossbreeding to try to breed the grey dragons back into existence. And that this new Libris either has a bone mark or is a reincarnation, akin to how Bo is a reincarnation of the old black and gold dragon of legend.
The ancient Bucephalus.
Yeah. So that's the fun theory crafting and watch party part of the stream. So we may as well now bump over to
the book.
the book. So as the system for the races has been evolving, I've ended up taking out all of the kids on bike stuff and all of the
Copyrightable parts.
From Dragon Booster, and have begun working on an independent TTRPG system that keeps the inspiration of the dragon races and using gear and having obstacles and things like that, but moving forward in a more unique direction with more ability for creativity amongst players and DMs. So today we'll just run through something simple, which is the character creation. On the Discord, in the resources channel, you can find a fillable PDF form that is a character sheet that is up to date with all of the new information, as the way it is in this master book rules document and also in the public rules document. So for character creation, similar to Kids on Bikes, you distribute your standard 6 RPG dice, your D4, D6, D8, D12, and D10, D12, and D20 into your character's stats. The stats are now attack, which is your ability to attack, agility, which is your speed and accuracy of movement, intelligence, which is your general intelligence and skills of deduction and reasoning, integrity, which is your physical resistance and brute strength, finesse, which is your physical and mental ability to charm a situation, person, or persons, and force, which is your force of will and ability to overcome physical or mental challenges.
So, again, very similar to Kids on Bikes, but we've changed some wording.
And some of the stats do behave a bit differently. You get to select 2 stats that you get to apply a +1 bonus to, as something that your character is practiced in. So it's not something that they may be naturally good at. So you may put 1 bonus into your absolute worst stat. So if your character is not very bulky and they have low integrity, maybe they've practiced getting punched in the stomach, and that just makes them that little bit better, so they get that +1 bonus whenever rolling that stat. Once stats are selected, you should think about your character's motivations and fear. So the things
like to bring up the actual character sheet so that they can kind of see where some of this is going as well from time to time.
That is a good idea.
So yeah, motivation and fear. It's more for role playing than anything else at this point. Certainly within the races at the moment. But the general idea is it's stuff that you can use to flesh out your character more. So basically, what do they want to do with themselves? What's driving them to do the things they do? And you can use that to then role play a little bit further on, especially if you take this onto a campaign. You can play around with a bit of that as well. And additionally, fear, what might hold them back from achieving some of those goals. what might cause them to behave slightly more irrationally or erratically. Um, a good example of this is the character I generally use has been fleshed out a little bit, and has some similarities to the character of Palm and John from Dragon Boost, in that Vokun really wants to play around with tech and to work on gear, and particularly fabricate his own gear. But on the flip side, and of course, a lot of times the best place to get some of the stuff can be the underneath the city. What did we end up calling it? The wastelands. Um, and well, that's all well and good. There's a lot of dangerous shit down there, and he ain't particularly fond of some of those things. So that can lead to a fun dichotomy of wanting to go down there to possibly grab some ancient gear, but running into the thing he fears most. So you can think about that. There's no defined listing for this. So if you do want to run with this, talk to your DM and sort of see what they will let you get away with, and what will work well for them.
Yeah. So, in addition to listing your character's motivations and fears, the character sheet has a list of personality traits. There are positive and negative personality traits. You get to choose one from each column, generally. And these are just things that, again, will help with characterization and building out your character. And these are things that may change over time. So your character may start out as prejudiced, but they may overcome that through the campaign, in which case you'd want to select a new negative personality trait that you'd want to be the next thing you want to work on, or the next thing, because no one's perfect. Everyone's going to have something that is negative about them, or something positive that they're going to grow into. And even negative personality traits can be used in positive ways. So you may be obnoxious, but that might also mean that you're very straightforward with things. You don't tend to lie. And that's a positive thing from a negative trait. And then the same can be said for positive traits having negative connotations. So you may be courageous, but that means you often act without thinking. So you're a bit stupid.
And of course, this comes back to in that roleplay sense. So, for example, one thing I like to play around with is superstitious, because I work in a line of engineering, and one thing I found is that a lot of engineers will be quietly superstitious. They'll have something they always do because it always works, even if it doesn't quite seem to make sense initially. So being able to play around with something like that, or again, maybe you are playing again as, like I said, that courageous character, maybe just letting them charge headlong into things without necessarily thinking about it. So something to always be thinking about, or to think about when you're creating a character, is, what works for the character and what could be fun to play around with in that roleplay setting.
Once you've selected your traits, you can move on to your abilities. I've skipped money for the moment, because money you can do really at any point of the character creation, which is just selecting what section of the city you're from and then rolling the appropriate amount of dice. But that can be affected by your abilities, which is why you may want to do those first. So you get to choose 2 abilities from the available abilities. They are generally activated by spending a dragon token, which are earned by performing care actions for your dragon. Generally, you'll start each day with 3 dragon tokens for the assumed tasks of feeding, grooming, and tacking up your dragon. because all of those things are important to the care of your dragon. And other care tasks through the day will be up to the DM. So there may be that after a race, your dragon's gotten muddy, and the DM's just noted down that they've decided that your dragon doesn't like being muddy. So you need to think about what kind of things has my dragon experienced today, and what kind of things will help them and be better for them. So the different abilities are things like level-headed. So you can spend a dragon token to just take half your die's value in a tense situation. So a situation where you may not have time to think about something or try your best at something, but you're a level-headed person, so you can do that. Caretaker, you're very in tune with your dragon, so you gain 2 tokens instead of 1 for each care task. Brave is you can spend 2 dragon tokens to ignore your fears. Observant, you can spend 1 dragon token to ask the DM about your surroundings or an NPC, and they have to answer honestly. Lucky, you spend 2 tokens to re-roll a stat check. Well packed, spend 2 dragon tokens to have 1 useful common item with you at the DM's discretion. Thick skin, if you lose an attack roll, add +3 to the negative number, reducing the damage that you receive. Defiant, for each dragon token spent, roll 1 additional d4 and add it to the result when resisting checks from an authority figure. So that may be someone that's older than you, it may be a member of the police force, it may be your boss at work, just anyone that is in some kind of position of authority over you. Again, that is up to the DM. Archaeologist is to spend 1 dragon token to find 1 aged item in your surroundings. So that could be ruins, it could be old gear, it could be a treasure map, those kinds of things. One moment, I'll be right.
Okay. Where were we? So, yes. So I'm just getting distracted, ain't it? So yeah, self-solvent. I believe we're up to um, self-centered. Yes, the idea with sort of the self-centered teamwork thing was being able to kind of an all for one, one for all situation. So, um, if the self-centered is, you can benefit, you benefit from it. You're basically working on your own, but as a result of that, you can't gain benefit from teamwork, which is more of a helping everyone else. And yes, I believe finally was rich, which, yeah, basically get a large chunk of money for it, which could be quite useful, but it does take up one of your ability to, slots. And yeah, so once you've chosen your abilities, which again, choose them based on what would work well for your character, what you personally think would be useful, or um, what would be what would work well in that campaign, and just have a little bit of fun with it. It can, of course, be used during races with some of these things, especially things like level-headed or level-headed, teamwork, observant, can all be fairly easily used there. But yeah, just again, play around with it, see what works well. Once you've sorted out your abilities, you can look into a specialization. That can be basically anything, pretty much anything you want. It could be something broad, something fairly wide-ranging. It could be something very specific. And it's just kind of what your what your character is well skilled at, what your character is really focused on. So part of it falls into that sort of motivation from earlier. This one can be a little bit more specific. Um, so yeah, and again, largely all falls into that roleplay aspect. Again, rather than the racing side of things, but still works quite well. Um, that doesn't mean anything, does it? Can still have quite a bit of use as well. So, I mean, some of our examples are things like sorting out gear or sorting out specific types of gear. So, either your various types of line gear, like your tent. No, what
I'm
did we end up
back.
calling it again?
Thank you
You're
for taking
back.
the lead there.
I try.
So, your specialty is basically just something that you specifically are practiced at. So you get to roll your d20 for it, regardless of what stat would be used for the check. So, for example, your brain stat is a d4, but your specialty is launcher type gear. Normally it would normally it would be an intelligence check for lining up the shot, but because your specialty is launcher type gear, you get to roll your d20 for that check because you're so practiced in using that specific type of gear and you specifically study and work with that type of gear. So it's expected that you would be better at that than what would typically be expected for the stat typically used. After you have selected your skills and specialty, you get your starting equipment. So players receive a parachute pack and a bow staff just as standard. So everyone will start with those two pieces of gear. You also get to pick one piece of level 1 equipment from a stocked color of a shop located in your character's home level of the city, free of charge. Or if a player is starting as a member of a faction, you receive one level 1 piece of equipment from the faction's associated color instead of selecting from a shop. So factions are something that we are working on for the book to build out the world and add a bit more interaction. There will essentially be one faction per dragon class color. And sometimes if you are a part of a faction, it may affect what levels of the city that you can live in or that might be easily accessible to you. But it will also mean that gear of that color will be much easier to come by because your faction will help outfit you for the races.
It is worth noting that at this time, some of those factions would be less likely to be part of, simply due to the nature of them. But that's more a discussion for later if we come around to any more of these alternate streams.
Yeah. So that's your general character creation. Then your dragon, who on the character sheet has their own page. So your dragon is not really a separate entity. They use your stat dice for their rolls, but they will provide bonuses on rolls. depending on their color and class. So we'll pick a class at random. Let's go with blue. So we'll go to the blue Bolt class dragon page. So blue Bolt class dragons. So Bolt class blue dragons are a light quadruped. They add a bonus of +1 to agility and +1 to intelligence. And they are compatible with purple, brown, lime, silver, and white gear. So that means that when they are using those types of gear, it's less energy intensive for them. And when they are using blue gear, that is the least energy intensive for them. So color compatibility. So if the energy cost per activation / round held, and +1 per every 2 levels of equipment over level 2. So gear of level 1, 2, and 3 only use 1 energy per activation or round if they match the dragon, 2 energy if they are compatible with the dragon, and 3 energy if there is no match to the dragon itself. But that does mean that all colors of gear can be used by all dragons. So even if it's not the most energy efficient, you can still use every type of gear that there is. Now with gear, there are essentially there are a few different types of gear. Where did I put it?
Yeah, put it somewhere.
Oh. So basically there is gear, which is it's a generic piece of equipment that does a simple thing. Then there is launchers, which fire a projectile of some type. There is armor, which generally covers the body of the dragon and will often be quite limited in the locations it can be equipped to. And there are lines, which use a cable or rope of some type in their functionality. And then your dragon has 8 total equip slots, which are the head, chest, back, flank, tail, front legs, back legs, and the rider. And then each piece of gear takes up one of those slots. Even if the gear seems as though it should... So each of the listed slots of gear with each piece of gear is a possible equip location. So boost gear you can equip on the back, the flank, or the tail. Whereas welding gear can only be equipped in the rider slot. So it doesn't mean that the gear takes up all those slots, it's just that you can put it in any one of those slots.
Helps to try and balance some of the stuff.
Taking
Plus, it'd be really funny to see a dragon trying to use some welding gear.
Yeah, I don't think they'd be able to hold the handle unless it's a smaller dragon. So, taking us back to money, because that is the primary way of getting gear. You want to get money, use it to buy gear. The currency of our city is drachmi, and the level that your character is from denotes how many dice they will roll for their starting amount of money, which is how many levels below of the city are below their home area. So characters that live in Uptown are typically the richest and get to roll 6 D100. If you are from Uptown and also choose the rich skill, that means you get to roll 7. So
That's a lot of money.
that's the possibility for a lot of money, but as there is still some randomness, you may get unlucky.
You could also end
You
up
may
with
get roll
20
really
drachma
low.
to your name.
Other ways of getting money are by working part-time jobs around the city, or starting up a career or a shop, or winning
And also
prizes
racing.
in races.
So yeah,
So
earn
that takes us
money,
through the
get gear, win races.
then it takes us through the basic character creation steps and process. Pretty much all the all the character creation steps needed to participate in the public races are in the public rules doc, which is available through the Discord. I am very sorry that we weren't able to have a race this month, unfortunately, but we will be putting up the dates and times for next month's race once this stream is finished. And
it will be the other time slot we commonly use.
yes,
so
it will be the other time slot, which is AU 9 AM.
11 AM NZ.
And 6 PM.
So 11 PM GMT.
Yeah, 11 PM GMT and 6 PM, I believe, American Eastern Standard Time.
It's in the Discord. It will automatically show it whatever your time zone is. So, yeah.
So I do hope people found this stream enlightening for the character creation process, and had a bit of fun with the watch party and theory crafting. If anyone has any feelings about any thoughts on what they think of what is up with Libris and why he is so small for a dragon that's supposed to be like 300 years old, especially compared to dragons that we know are much, much younger, feel free to pop them in the comments.
Tyrannospax.
And if anyone has any questions about the system or what kind of things we're adding to the book, we will be looking at possibly releasing the book at some point once it is finished. We aim to get a few things more play tested first, and we'll be trying to make it as adaptable as possible so that people can use it in the most creative ways, because TTRPGs are more fun when people are being creative and doing the things that they want to do. So I do hope that everyone has had a good time, and we will see you next month, unless I do an art stream in the interim. So good morning, good afternoon, good evening, and good night. We wish you all a pleasant time. Goodbye, everyone.